Hi guys, it's Nana. Welcome back to my channel. This is my first video in English. Since I saw that some of the people that has subscribed to my channel is in Italian, I thought it would be a good idea to make a video in English just to be more inclusive. And also I've been living in Ireland for a month now, so the more I practice my English the better, but keep in mind it's not my native language, so please be kind. I'm sensitive but feel free to correct me in the comments whether I make some mistakes. So for this video I thought I would read a bit of The Wizard of Oz. This is one of the 3 books I have here in Ireland. The others are back home in Italy. And probably many of you read this when they were kids. I actually never read it, at least not the original book. I read the a shorter version when I was a kid, and I also loved the 30s movie. I have many memories attached to The Wizard of Oz, and as many others, I got pretty obsessed with Wicked, the musical. I just think it's great. I also bought the book, but I haven't read it yet. I know it's pretty different from the musical. I know it's way darker and more political. But yeah, I'll definitely read it. But since I had never read the original book, The Wizard of Oz, I thought it would be a good idea to buy it in English so that I could practice my reading, since I'm staying in a English speaking country. So yeah. We served of us L. Frank Baum. So here we have 2 of the main characters of the story, or actually 2 the companions of the protagonist, Dorothy. This is the Scarecrow, who was my favorite character in the movie as a child. I thought he was the funniest one. And here we have the Tin Man, for whom I sort of had a crush on when I was a child. I think it was because of the whole I'm looking for a heart thing. I thought he was pretty romantic, and also I found him charming in a weird way. Well, on the back of the cover we have a quite inspiring quote from the book, which is, "True courage is in facing danger when you're afraid." Someone would definitely have it tattooed on their spine. Well, here we have Dorothy, our protagonist, and her cute puppy, Toto, who's black actually. I don't know why he's ginger here. Here you can see that the pages are golden. I think it's pretty cool. And here we have a very cool bookmark of the same color of the fabric cover, which in my opinion makes an even better sound than the outer cover. It's of this very cute light blue. And here we have some leaves, some flowers, like here. Here's a flower. And also, what's the name of the oak seed? Oak seed? Or oak nut? I don't know. Let's read the plot, shall we? Follow Dorothy and her loyal dog Toto as they are carried away from Kansas by a cyclone to the wonderful world of Oz. Wandering down the yellow brick road, Dorothy meets her three famous companions: a scarecrow longing for a brain, a tin woodman wishing for a heart, a cowardly lion yearning for some courage. And together they travel to the illustrious Emerald City, where they hope all their dreams will come true. So I thought I would read in soft spoken at first, the tone I'm using right now. Then I think I will switch to whispering like this. I don't have a mic, so I can't do the cool thing like this. I feel a bit dumb doing that, so I won't do that. And at the end, I will use the inaudible. And I hope it makes sense. I hope you can actually hear them and be relaxed by it. I really hope so. Okay, so let's start. Once again, we have Toto, and here we have Dorothy. Unhappy in Kansas because everything is so gray. Dorothy lived in the midst of the great Kansas prairies with Uncle Henry, who was a farmer, and Aunt Em, who was the farmer's wife. Their house was small, for the lumber to build it had to be carried by wagon many miles. There were 4 walls, a floor, and a roof, which made one room, and this room contained a rusty-looking cooking stove, a cupboard for the dishes, a table, 3 or 4 chairs, and the beds. Uncle Henry and Aunt Em had a big bed in one corner, and Dorothy a little bed in another corner. There was no garret at all, and no cellar, except a small hole dug in the ground, called a cyclone cellar, where the family could go in case one of those great whirlwinds arose, mighty enough to crush any building in its path. It was reached by a trapdoor in the middle of the floor, from which a ladder led down into a small dark hole. When Dorothy stood in the doorway and looked around, she could see nothing but the gray prairie on every side. Not a tree nor a house broke the broad sweep of flat country that reached the edge of the sky in all directions. The sun had baked the bluffed land into a grey mass, with little cracks running through it. Even the grass was not green, for the sun had burned the tops of the long blades until they were the same grey color to be seen everywhere. Once the house had been painted, but the sun blistered the paint and the rains washed it away, and now the house was as dull and grey as everything else. When Aunt Em came there to live, she was a young, pretty wife. The sun and wind had changed her too. They had taken the sparkle from her eyes and left them a sober grey. They had taken the red from her cheeks and lips, and they were grey also. She was thin and gaunt and never smiled now. When Dorothy, who was an orphan, first came to her, Aunt Em had been so startled by the child's laughter that she would scream and press her hand upon her heart whenever Dorothy's merry voice reached her ears, and she still looked at the little girl with wonder that she could find anything to laugh at. Uncle Henry never laughed. He worked hard from morning till night and did not know what joy was. He was grey also, from his long beard to his rough boots. To his rough boots, and he looked stern and solemn, and rarely spoke. It was Toto that made Dorothy laugh and saved her from growing as grey as her other surroundings. Toto was not grey. He was a little black dog with long silky hair and small black eyes that twinkled merrily on either side of his funny wee nose. Toto played all day long, and Dorothy played with him and loved him dearly. Now, if you don't mind, I'll switch to the whispering voice. Today, however, they were